Hello and welcome to Oddspedia Bundesliga Matchday 19. Is gonna be a tough fight for the Champions League spots with Hoffenheim, Stuttgart, Leipzig, Leverkusen. Who knows if Eintracht Frankfurt. Ronan, this is our attention with Bayern Munich cruising and just scoring goals for fun. Is the best team you've ever seen in the Bundesliga?
Yeah, I think so. I think at the moment, obviously, the Champions League is a different beast altogether. But the way they're playing in the Bundesliga, and I said it last week, even when Bayern Munich go one goal down, you still aren't worried about them. When they're losing 1-0 at half time, you're not worried about them. You just think that they're going to turn things around and score goals, and that's what they did against Leipzig. And we were right as well, saying that it will be another 6-goal match. We should have went for the over 5.5 goals in that one.
Always go for the over and the over when Bayern Munich is in the pitch. 71 goals scored is just crazy, the amount of goals they are scoring. Well, guys, let's enjoy this new Bundesliga show and weekend. Let me know your comments. Of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And we have a derby on Friday, a big derby in Hamburg. Let's hope we have games in Hamburg now in winter. St. Pauli, Hamburg, very important also for the standings, for the relegation battle, because we have St. Pauli bottom of the table. We have Hamburg 4 points away from the bottom three, but Hamburg is the worst away team in the league, only 2 points, and St. Pauli was this close to get a point against Dortmund. We have to remember also the reverse fixture, Ronan, where St. Pauli won.
Yeah, they won 2-0 in August in Hamburg, ground at Volkswagen Stadium. So it'll be an interesting one in the Millantor on Friday evening. It should be a great atmosphere, as it always is when there's a Hamburg derby. Great to see it obviously back in the Bundesliga, because it is the only city derby in the Bundesliga these days, because, as we know, Berlin doesn't have two teams good enough to be in the Bundesliga. Munich, 1860, it's been a long time since they've been in the Bundesliga, and there's not really other kind of other really big derby games all from the same city in Germany. So this one is always special when it does happen. It's kind of one of the most passionate fan bases in Germany. Both sides have very passionate fan bases. Obviously, there's a long history. There's a long kind of tie to politics and different things like that. St. Pauli always tried to be bigger than a club, or it's more important to try to stay away from the capitalist side of things. But I think that's going to seep in a bit more in recent years, because it has to if they want to compete at the top level. So, yeah, this should be a great game for the fans to watch. Hopefully, it will be a great game on paper to watch as well, because these are two sides who are desperately in need of points. Like you said, St. Pauli are bottom of the table now, so they really need to pick up some points. Hamburg aren't that far above the relegation zone, like you said. And if you look at the away table, you said that Hamburg are the worst away team. St. Pauli are actually the second worst home team in the Bundesliga this season. So this is two kind of bad teams playing each other, but sometimes when that happens, we get goals from it. And the smart bet this time, it's going for 5 stars for total goals over 1.5, which is 141. So we want to look a bit more, perhaps, for value elsewhere. So if you look at how many times over 2.5 goals has happened for these two teams, it's 65% of the time for Pauli, 55% of the time for Hamburg, so more than half the time each, nearly 2/3 of the time for St. Pauli. So smart bet again, it's going for 4 stars for total goals over 2.5, and that's what I'm going to go for as well, because I think I'm finding it hard to separate who is going to come out on top, and a draw would not be a surprise. So we're just going to go for goals.
Well, X2 for Benson in this derby, the only city derby, as you mentioned, in the Bundesliga. Saturday games, Leverkusen, Werder Bremen. Perhaps we also see goals here, because Werder Bremen are conceding goals for fun. Drew 3-3 against Frankfurt, also conceded 3 against Dortmund. 7 winless games in the Bundesliga, but also Leverkusen are probably in the worst moment of the season. They lost to Olympiacos in the Champions League, also 2 consecutive defeats in the Bundesliga. Yeah, but maybe they were even worse at the beginning of the season, but they sacked the manager immediately. Ronan, with the new manager, or not the newish, is a difficult moment for Leverkusen.
Yeah, I was joking about that with Tom on the Champions League show, that it's the repeat of the fixtures in the second half of the Bundesliga, and it was around this time that they sacked Erik ten Hag. But it seems like the history is repeating itself, because they seem to be having the same kind of a disastrous start to the second half of the season as they were at the first half of the season. The only thing is the new coach, 𝗀𝗏𝗧𝗏, he's kind of given himself kind of enough time. He's shown when he did come in and turn things around that he could do the job. So we just have to kind of wait and see, because they haven't won yet in 2026, like you've said. Haven't won in the Bundesliga. They had a match postponed in the Bundesliga, and then losing to Olympiacos in Champions League is a kind of embarrassing result for them, because I know we spoke on the Champions League show about how Olympiacos are looking very good in the Greek league this season, but we still thought that the Bundesliga team should have enough to see off a Greek team, but they didn't. The lucky thing for them now is that Bremen, they're not playing great themselves either. They're 13th in the table. They haven't won yet in 2026 either, although they did draw with Frankfurt, but they have been conceding lots of goals. They have been conceding many goals in each game. It was 3-3 earlier in this match in the season. The most common result is 2-2 in this one. So this one, we're going to go for goals again, and it's usually a good bet in the Bundesliga to go for goals, because we usually get lots of goals. Both teams to score, yes, looks good at 161, and then total goals over 3.25 you have to go for to get over 2. So I like that one.
Of course, it's a good idea going for goals. And in the next one, also kind of local rivalry, if we can say, Bayern Munich, Augsburg. Of course, here you have to be creative. Go for Bayern Munich to score plenty of goals, perhaps playing at home. As I said before, 71 goals scored is more than double of Borussia Dortmund's goals, for instance. So it's basically what Bayern Munich wants at this point. Ronan, it's so difficult to bet on their games this season, even harder to get good odds. It's easy if you go for Asian handicap -2, -3 is coming in.
It is, yeah. It's only there's always that doubt that maybe they might not score 4 goals in a particular match, like against Mainz earlier in the seaseason when it was 2-2, or the Union Berlin game that we predicted. So maybe Augsburg double chance could be worth a look, because I'm looking at those odds on the screen. 30, really, for a top flight match? I don't think you'll see that anywhere else in the top 5 leagues this season. Any away team, no matter who they're playing, who it is, 30. So yeah, and Augsburg aren't even that bad. It's not like it's Heidenheim or something. So yeah, who knows? But this is where you have to kind of dig in and find value with Bayern Munich. Maybe come from behind could be an option, because they've done it twice in a row now, so maybe a third time. But Bayern Munich, they're just going to keep scoring goals. That's what we imagine. It's only the second time in Bundesliga history that they've trailed at half time and scored 5 goals in the second half. The last time was in the 70s against Bochum. They were losing 3-0 down at half time, came back to win 6-5 in that one. So the Leipzig win probably isn't as impressive, but it's very impressive to come back and score 5 goals. They've scored 3 goals or more in each of the last 7 meetings with Augsburg. So even against Augsburg, they tend to score goals. It is a Bavarian derby, like you've said. They've scored 3 or more goals in the last 3 Bundesliga games. They've done that in 9 of the 10 games they've played since they played against Arsenal, or lost against Arsenal in the Champions League. The only one was the Mainz match I mentioned. So they do score more than 3 goals in nearly every game. That's why they have so many goals in the Bundesliga. So over 3.5 goals. Bayern Munich themselves to score over 3.5 goals is where you have to look to get over 2. So yeah, it's probably over 4.5 match goals or something like that, because this Bayern Munich team, everyone expects them to score. But maybe you have to look at where or who might be involved. Harry Kane, the odds on him are never massive anymore. They were better at the start of the season. They were definitely better last season. But yeah, it's hard to find value. So Michael Olise is the man I'm looking at. He's the only player in the Big 5 leagues to have 10 goals and 10 assists in the league so far this season. He's also only the second Bayern Munich player in Bundesliga history after Frank Ribery to come off the bench and have 3 assists in the same game. So that's why I'm going for Michael Olise to have an assist. So Michael Olise over 0.5 assists at 2.45.
I like this one, really high odds indeed. For this one, Constantinos going for Bayern to score over 2.5 goals in the second half. And Ben, Augsburg to draw. I guess you are not very serious. By the way, for instance, we have a Barcelona Oviedo in La Liga, and Oviedo to win is 23. So, not even close to this 30 for Augsburg, and Oviedo probably is a worse team than Augsburg if we compare the leagues, or is doing a poorer season than Augsburg. Next one is Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim. This one much more interesting, also from the betting point of view and also from the standings, because both are fighting for Champions League spots, and right now Hoffenheim is in one of them. They are third in the standings, beat Leverkusen 1-0, beat Gladbach 5-1, drew with Stuttgart recently, and is one of the teams most informed in the Bundesliga. Kind of the opposite we can say about this Frankfurt, still very leaky, conceded 3 against Bremen, another 3 against Stuttgart, another 3 against Dortmund.
Yeah, this is no surprise that Eintracht Frankfurt have changed their manager this week. So yeah, they've sacked their manager. Dino Topmover is out, but they haven't found a permanent manager yet. Marco Rose is been tipped as the possible successor by the Bild newspaper. He is formerly of Dortmund and Leipzig. He has kind of been around the Bundesliga a bit. So yeah, Markus Krösche, the sporting director, CEO of Frankfurt, he's saying we're looking for a coach who plays a certain style of football, courageous, offensive, but of course we're looking for someone who is capable and willing to develop players. So that's kind of the mindset of Frankfurt. They need an attacking coach, but they also need a coach who will play the younger guys, and then the younger guys will play well, and then they'll be able to sell these younger guys. That's kind of the approach they're looking for at the moment. But they definitely need to defend better, because that's not what they have been doing recently. It's what they haven't been doing for a long time. Frankfurt did win this match at 3-1 earlier this season, but I think the kind of dynamics have shifted a bit recently, because like you said, Hoffenheim are a team in great form. Back-to-back wins, including beating Gladbach 5-1. Frankfurt have conceded 3 in every single game they played in the Bundesliga in 2026, like you said. If you look at the match earlier this season, it was 3-1. If you look at the matches in previous seasons, 5 of the last 6 meetings have actually been 3-1 as well. So there was a 2-2. So it tends to be 4 goals in this match. But I'm not going to put my neck on the line and predict a 3-1 scoreline, because it easily could be 3-1 to Frankfurt or 3-1 to Hoffenheim. I wouldn't rule it out. So both teams to score, yes, is 149. And looking at the over goals market again in this one, over 2.5 goals, 73% of the time for Frankfurt, 68% of the time for Hoffenheim. So over 3 goals is 186.
Well, we have 3 comments here. Onana, Konstantinos, and David going for X2 for this game, and a couple of them also with both teams to score, considering Frankfurt are playing Champions League Wednesday evening against Karabakh. They have to travel, and this game is going to be played on Saturday. Someone is asking about the tip for this Eintracht game against Karabakh. Go and check our video. We have a video for the Wednesday games in the Champions League. To be honest, apart from Bayern Munich, it's difficult to put your money in any German team at the moment, as we saw on Tuesday with Borussia Dortmund against Tottenham, but we will come back to Borussia Dortmund in a minute. First, we have Heidenheim, Leipzig. Also, Leipzig dropping from the top 4. I would say is for the first time this season. Of course, they lost the first game, the opening game in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga, but then they went into a run, and now they are in a negative run also, perhaps the worst moment of the season. 3 defeats in the last 4 games, including that 1-5 with Bayern Munich. Heidenheim, they drew with Wolfsburg. This is enough for them to be outside the bottom 2, the direct relegation spots. But it's so difficult also to back Heidenheim that despite the bad moment of Leipzig, Ronan, the bookies are placing them really favorites here.
Yeah, I would too. It's hard to look at Heidenheim winning this match, because Leipzig should have much more. And I mentioned, obviously, players coming back from African Nations Cup and things like that. So Leipzig, their squad should be getting stronger as the weeks go by and the players come back to fitness, as long as they don't pick up any more injuries. So I think Leipzig should finish the season strongly, and we should start to see that in the next coming weeks. And this is kind of the perfect place for them to do it, because Heidenheim are a team that they are in the playoff spot for the relegation, but they easily could be in the automatic relegation if results don't turn their way. They're only like 1 point behind last, so it's not like they have pulled away or put any sort of gap between them, because their form recently, their own form has been disastrous as well. No wins in the last 5 games. But the only positive is for them that they have scored in 4 of those 5 games. The only one they didn't was the 4-0 against Bayern Munich. And like we say, you might as well write off every game against Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga at this stage. No matter who you are, you might just cancel that, and you're playing the other 16 teams in the Bundesliga. And Bayern is just playing against a kind of robotic team that's going to beat everybody into oblivion, I think. So Leipzig as well, they have both teams to score, yes, a lot recently as well. 3 of their last 4 games. They won this one back in August. Both teams to score, yes, again is a good option at 161. But I agree with Konstantinos in the comments. So that's my main tip for this one. I'm going for a Leipzig win and both teams to score, yes, which is 275.
Okay, a classic also in the Bundesliga. Ben, something similar, Leipzig to win and over 1.5. And the last game we have at 3:30 is Mainz Wolfsburg, important for the relegation battle. Mainz now in the bottom 2 after the defeat against Cologne. Wolfsburg drew with Heidenheim. Before that, beat Pauli, so they got a distance with the bottom 3, only 6 points. Again, direct rivals. The bookies here place Mainz as favorites, but this could be easily, I guess, a draw, Ronan.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going for to say for the next couple minutes. I'm going to talk you into a draw in this match, but I don't think I need to talk you into it, because you already think it's going to be a draw. Maybe some of our viewers might want to know why I think this one's going to be a draw. But yeah, Mainz, if you were to favour one side, it would be Mainz. They are at home. They are improved compared to where they were kind of in the very early stages of the first half of the season. They are a team that are better on paper than they are showing in the Bundesliga. And maybe the kind of European travels and stuff like that is kind of playing into that. But they have picked up some good results. If you look at both meetings in 2025 between these two sides, they were both draws. The most common result is a 1-1. The most common result in Mainz is a 1-1. Mainz have already drawn twice in 2026, so why not make it 3 times? So yeah, a draw. I really like to look up at 360.
Okay, well, Konstantinos trusting Wolfsburg to win away here on Anna for the opposite, 1x for Mainz. First team to score, Mainz is smart bet for this game, 1.8. And the late kickoff is Union Berlin, Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund second in the Bundesliga, but they are not having a good season. They lost to Tottenham in a pitiful game. They played in the Champions League. Also, they struggle against Pauli. It's difficult to trust this team. And Union Berlin could be a tricky game. We saw it even with Bayern Munich. They are coming from 3 consecutive draws. The last one against Stuttgart, I wouldn't be surprised to see here Dortmund dropping points.
Yeah, you go for another draw here. So maybe we should go for a few draws in the Bundesliga this week. But
why not? Good odds always.
Yeah. And this Borussia Dortmund team, like we said in the Champions League preview, against Spurs, I thought Spurs might score, because Borussia Dortmund obviously have their defensive problems, and those continued. We saw them. Dominic Solanke scored one of the kind of most embarrassing goals you'll ever see Borussia Dortmund concede. It kind of just clipped off of his feet. He didn't really know what was happening, but it hit off the post, went in the goal. There was a terrible red card, very harsh red card. I think we wouldn't have seen in the pre-VAR era, but that's how things are these days. But yeah, Borussia Dortmund's defense continues to be terrible. Nico Schlotterbeck is the only kind of positive in it, and you kind of are looking towards the summer and wondering why, in the name of God, are they selling him? Or will they allow him to leave? Because without him, they are nothing at the back, and they'll be even worse next season. So for this season, Borussia Dortmund and conceding goals is happening. Next season, it's going to happen even more. So we can keep an eye on that next season. But for now, Union Berlin, they have been a team that have been picking up points, and picking up points thanks to their substitutes, because their last 6 goals in the Bundesliga have all come from substitutes, which is a Bundesliga record, or equals Borussia Dortmund's Bundesliga record, which is an unusual one. Union have drawn every game in 2026. The draw here is 358. I think that could be a good option, like you said. I think Borussia Dortmund could drop points again because they are battling for second in the Bundesliga. They are second in the Bundesliga. The Champions League match next week could be more important than this one for them at the moment. So yeah, they're unbeaten in 11 Bundesliga games, stretching back to Bayern in October, which is a surprise considering they concede so many goals. But they've also scored plenty of goals at the other end. They are scoring goals. 𝗀𝗵𝗏𝗀 is back among the goals. Julian Brandt went on a run of 4 games in a row where he was scoring. He never did that before in his career. So yeah, this Borussia Dortmund team are scoring lots of goals. They've scored 3 or more goals in each Bundesliga game so far in 2026. So total goals over 2.5 here, 199 is going on.
Mm-hmm. It's very important also to consider that we have Champions League and Europa League next week. So for all the European teams, this is going to be a sandwich match day in Germany. So perhaps they want to rest some players, although Dortmund, very likely they will go to the playoffs in the Champions League. They are playing Inter, by the way. Next week, we have David, X2, both teams to score. Onana, the opposite, 1x. Dortmund was a disgrace on Tuesday night. I completely agree. I think we all agree. Union Berlin, both teams to score and over 3.5 goals. Constantinos also see goals in this one. And since we have also Europa League on Sunday, the 2 teams involved in this competition, and the one in the conference. Sunday, Gladbach, Stuttgart. Stuttgart Champions League spots, 4th in the standings after the draw with Union Berlin. But before that, remember, beat Frankfurt and Leverkusen, traveling to Rome on Thursday. And, Gladbach there, Ronan, in the middle of nowhere with nothing to play, I think, in the second part of the season.
Yeah, the Gladbach that we know and love has come back. This inconsistent Gladbach that is a team that wins matches, loses matches, draws matches, but doesn't really do much apart from stick around the middle of the table. That is what Gladbach
there
has been.
There have to be 18 teams, right?
Yeah, that's it. Gladbach, they're essentially the Fulham of the Bundesliga. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're one of the things that most people, they're there, and most people aren't that interested. Yeah, sometimes they have some exciting players that they can sell on. Maybe that's what tends to happen. Obviously, a huge passionate football city. Had a huge success back in the 70s, but yeah, it's not really happening for them at the moment. But yeah, they have not had a good start to 2026. They were held scoreless by Hamburg after getting smashed by Hoffenheim a few weeks ago. Stuttgart, on the other hand, they are on a great unbeaten run themselves in the Bundesliga, and like Borussia Dortmund, they have been unbeaten since they played Bayern Munich. So lose to Bayern Munich, then go on an unbeaten run seems to be what it is. And then your unbeaten run will come to an end the next time you play Bayern Munich. Yeah, unbeaten in 5 games since then. Stuttgart won this one 1-0 in August. The smart bet is going for 4 stars for a Stuttgart double chance, 145. You can't really disagree with that. I'm going for 5 stars for that one, but it is going for 5 stars. It feels even more strongly. The computer, if it does have feelings, it feels more strongly about Stuttgart winning, so it's given 5 stars to that. So that's also what I'm going for, and that's what Constantinos in the comments is going for too, a Stuttgart win.
Okay, Stuttgart to win. In the Serie A, we have Udinese and Torino, these teams that have to be there, but they never do nothing remarkable apart from Di Natale with Udinese, for instance. And the last game, Freiburg, Cologne. Freiburg saved 1 point against Augsburg. They were 2-0 down. They ended up drawing. They are getting far from Europe. Now it's 5 points away from Leverkusen because they are not in a good run, and Cologne finally finished their really bad run, beating Mainz. They were winless in 8 before that, but they are not going to have any trouble this season. They are also in the middle of the table.
Yeah, these are 2 more kind of middle of the table, with Freiburg having some sort of aspirations or hopes for a European spot. That's kind of the difference between these 2. Freiburg have had tasted kind of Europe recently. Cologne have tasted the second division recently. That's kind of the opposite. But now we have kind of joined in to be the two more kind of mid-table teams. So yeah, Freiburg beat Hamburg and they drew Augsburg, but they lost to Leipzig in 2026. So kind of a mixed performance for them. Cologne a bit the same. They lost to Bayern. Everybody does, like I said, but they beat Mainz and drew Heidenheim. So these are two teams kind of with mixed form so far in 2026. If you look back in August, it was an absolute smash and grab from Cologne, or 4-1. They won. So, yeah, the most common result here, on the other hand, is 0-0. So, yeah. And if you look at these two teams and the amount of goals they're scoring more goals in the second half, and they're not even scoring a goal each in the first half. So, I had a look at the first half goals scored is 0.6 for Freiburg, 0.5 for Cologne. So they're only scoring a goal every second first half. So every two games they might score in the first half. So maybe they won't score in the first half in this one. So for that reason, I'm going for a first half draw at 232.
Okay, under goals here for Konstantinos, under 2.5 goals. Onana, I like Cologne X2 or a draw. Smart bet, full-time result, Freiburg, but indeed the draw also is very good, 3.7 full-time draw. Well, Ronan, guys, remember you gave me your tips in the comment section. You can also post them in Oddspedia. Just register for free and you have the chance to participate for free as well in our tipster competitions and win money if you are one of the good ones. And also check out Rivals, where you can create your own tipster league. There you go. Safe bet?
My safe bet this week has Borussia Dortmund in it, but not Borussia Dortmund to win, because that only sometimes that happens. Union Berlin and Dortmund over 1.5 total goals at 130.
I was reading now a lot of criticism also around Jude Bellingham doing absolutely nothing for Dortmund, being a very expensive signing and a flop. There is something going on with the Bellingham brothers this season. And the ACCA, Ronan?
My ACCA is Frankfurt Hoffenheim over 3 goals and Union Dortmund over 2.5 goals for a total of 370.
Goals in the Bundesliga, in the Champions, we were this close to grab the goals, since we saw also a lot of goals on Tuesday. Well, Ronan, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay.